Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being so patient with us. Mercury retrograde and time shifts. So we had two timelines going at the same time, I guess,
hmm
today.
And I'm good. I'm not that good.
Yeah. But that's an interesting thing to talk about clearing energy, which is what we're
hmm
doing today. So I'm Terry from Holding Your Space, and this is Nancy Jean from Nancy Jean's Garden.
hmm
So, welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. It's great to see you, Viviani and Ness and Water Lily and Linda. And let's see who else is here on this one. Lyra. Hello, Lyra.
hmm
Oh, okay. I have some things start already then. That's great. Pardon me. Goodness gracious. And Mimi's here and longevity rituals.
hmm
That's great. Lyra, I have your question. We can do a political today too, can't
Yeah,
we?
well, this is a mechanics question. This isn't the political questions I don't like are the People magazine. Who is this guy and do they stink? That kind of thing.
People magazine. It's true. It's
hmm
true. Yeah, those are there's some that feel icky and there's some that give you guidance and
hmm
strength. But yeah, I agree. Hi, there she is. Brenda's back. Brenda accidentally got deleted from the channel or blocked from my channel. And if that ever happens, you guys, please let me know. Now I know how to fix it. I thought I knew an easy way to fix it, and I found a really hard way to fix it today. So, but I got it done. Sometimes it's funny. Somebody will have their phone and they're being a moderator,
hmm
and they'll drop their phone or something, and it just happens. You get blocked accidentally.
Well, it's okay. I was set up to go with Scott yesterday morning. No, yesterday afternoon. And Sean and I are sitting there, and it gets to be 3:30. All of a sudden I get this phone call from Scott and he says, I'm sitting here, everything on my computer is working but StreamYard. So we were discussing, what he did is he went out, came back in, and it straightened itself out. But we were ready to go have me send him the invitation and run it through my machine. I mean, trust me, I have seen things happen in the last week with the mechanics of what we do that are they make my poor little reader heart go pity pat because I'm never sure. I like touch the button. Does it work?
Yeah, everything's kind of doing that, isn't it?
Well,
I
it's a
had that.
full moon today. We're in the height of the full moon. We got planets creating uh, T squares, and then to make that even worse for me is that T square. If you've never seen a chart, if you drew the circle, there's a T squares where there's the moon and the sun are opposite each other, and then there's Saturn's coming right into the middle of that. Well, right opposite of that, what would make it a grand square is my ascendant. The exact degree,
Man,
perhaps it wasn't the smartest of things to do. So we talk about struggling with energy, and boy, howdy, it can get you.
yeah, it really can. It really can. I was doing a class yesterday, and then I finished that. I was going to another one that I was going to help with, and I lost the Zoom. Couldn't find the Zoom anywhere. Was nowhere to be.
hmm
So anyway, I got
Well,
on finally, but
I had one this weekend where he's a guy I've read before, and he said it's gonna be my birthday weekend, and I want to get read on my birthday, and so and I read his email and I started because I was reading it on my phone. And where I set all that stuff up is on my computer. So when I went back to find it, I had my daughter go through my email. She could not find him. And she said, maybe you didn't start. Maybe you sent it. Well, we looked in the trash. I hadn't emptied the trash. So we looked in everything. We could not find his name. That afternoon, he sent me a text because he goes back to my old client base. Everything was on the phone. And he said, did you not get my message? And I wrote back to him. I said, yes, I got your message. But then it disappeared on my computer and I don't know where it went. So we made the arrangements right then, and I did a reading for him for his birthday, and he's a really lovely guy, and um, it was all done. And when as soon as I finished his reading, I went in to do the bookkeeping on the end of that he paid his invoice, and I found the original email.
Wow.
So the universe is playing hide and seek, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, oh, what's this Candy saying? Hey, Ness. Yeah, we're taking personal questions too. Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Mostly personal, but I think there was one that had a,
Lyra Aquila. It's at
yeah,
128.
yeah, I saw
You,
that.
you
And
want
it's
to
not,
highlight it? I can't highlight
I already did.
it. Okay.
You want me to put it up
Yeah.
now? You
Mm-hmm.
ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go. Um, Lyra,
No,
th-
that's the wrong one.
that's the wrong one?
Yeah, she had one at 128 about could they replace Trump with Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland.
Oh, okay, did not have that one. Well, what were we just talking about? Going, and there it goes again. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, this is a mechanics question. No, there is not a there would have to be a mechanism. The Republicans would have to meet again, come to some sense. I'm not sure that Larry Hogan would run with 2025, that sheet, Project 2025, attached to their campaign.
Oh,
Nobody voted for Vance, that he was Trump's choice. That's traditional. And um, they're, they'd have to come up with some mechanism if something really happened to Trump and completely disabled him. But the party turning him out, their chance that that was their convention.
okay. So
And
they'll
they did not take
yeah.
advantage of it. Now, if he becomes, not that we want to send this to the universe, but if he becomes disabled, more disabled in my way of looking at it, than he already is, um, they'll have to have some real legitimate reason. And it can't just be things like today, the compilation poll, that's the most important. Um, he was ahead of Kamala by 2 points or something among independent voters. And today the number came in and she's 11 points ahead of him. That was virtually overnight.
And we were just talking about changes happening overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
So, the Republicans can't, and see, they're publishing the ballots for the military. That's why they had the deadline of the 7th, because they have to print all those and get them overseas to all the bases, get them collected up, get them back and counted. And a lot of states have a date, and they use the same way as the military. A lot of states, your ballot is set um, as of the 7th of this month, August. So I was talking, Sean and I were talking about this, and he said, I don't know how they could do it. It would all have to be write in, and write ins are notoriously bad.
Yeah. Well, it's confusing too, the write-in
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of ballots. I know we had that problem here. I worked an election and it was they had a it said write-in. Everybody was writing in somebody that was already on the ballot, and
That's not
because they
good.
wanted to make sure that he and it null and voided that election for that mayor. And it was
Mm-hmm.
somebody that didn't get all the votes that won.
Well,
Really didn't get all the votes. Oh, here I gotcha. Sorry, I was trying to star you there, Sonia. It's just going to be one of those days, people.
yeah, guys, you may want to take your livers and go home.
Um, yeah, it's oh, interestingness.
What?
Um, I kind of feel like we're kind of going through this time shift. Did you ever see anything with Nikki Haley? Since we're just talking about that, because I did see something happening with 45 at the I saw him being on the ballot, but I saw something happening during the election. And I see Nikki Haley around it a lot. Like, I don't know if she could step in or if she would,
Well,
but
the Republicans' problem is, okay, if it happens before the election,
yeah,
then I mean, there might be a way to put someone in, but it's like the only write-in candidate I know that was very successful was the Republicans got pissed at Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, and so they put some other guy. They ran some other guy through there, and apparently they don't have a very open primary or something. So she didn't make it, and so she ran anyway as an independent. And I've talked to people who lived in Alaska, and they said they had workshops to teach people how to spell Murkowski, you know,
well, yeah,
so she could get written in. And matter of fact, the other day, someone we were talking about write-ins, and this guy said, "That's how I learned how to spell Murkowski." you know, write-ins are very, very difficult, and they're and the laws, all election laws are kind of local. Like the city you live in will live with the guidelines the state gives it, but it'll put their own little things on it, and then the states. But all federal elections, the positions are federal, but the laws that regarding how you vote are in the states. That's one of the problems we have in getting um, fair voting things, because you get to a state that doesn't want to include people, and they'll just play games and say it looks okay, but it doesn't.
yeah,
So, as Sean and I keep trying to explain to people, if they get their name on the ballot, they'll get 5% of the vote. Because apparently 5% of the people who walk into any situation have absolutely no idea why they're there. So that happens. And, because it keeps saying RFK Jr. has 5%. Well, yeah, he would.
yeah. And there's also a lot of um, young people that don't like anybody that's on there. But RFK is different enough that they'll say, "Okay, I'll take you," because they want to revolutionize it, and I understand that.
And he's got a name they recognize. He also has a brain worm. I mean, let's get real about this, guys. I mean, and he also hit a dead bear cub in Central Park.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and it has his DNA way down inside it. So they said he definitely had to have pushed his hand all the way down.
yeah.
Ugh, that's weird. Okay, I'm gonna pick this question from Ness because
Mhm.
oh no, this is Ness giving lots of love and energy to Lisa. Let me see. There it is, honey. Okay. Lisa Foster, I feel for you. She says, I've been so depressed. Can I get a reading and please help? Um,
Mhm.
Lisa, this is a lot about what we're talking about today because when this energy comes in and you feel like, oh gosh, I made this mistake and that mistake and that mistake,
Mhm.
it's real easy to judge yourself.
Mhm.
And and there might be some energy work that you need doing, but mostly I think a lot of it is shedding that ego that says that you're supposed to get everything right and not give grace to yourself right now.
Right. Well, one of the things I tell people is, if 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 anyone outside of us spoke to us the way our own brains talk to us, we slap them across the face and throw them out of our house, right? But we don't have the wherewithal, because those voices know when you're weakest, because they're attached to the system, right?
Yeah.
And they know when to come in and when to talk to you. And sometimes you don't even realize it's telling you to be hopeless, because it'll tell you, oh, well, procrastinate. Wait one more day. Maybe it'll get better. And when you're looking at the task you have to do, this is from the woman who figured out her taxes enough to know I don't owe them anything, but hasn't put all the pieces of paper together yet. Um, I got till October 15th. But so I know whereof I speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I'm real good at that too. Um, and I think that's another symptom is the inertia that can set in. Like we'll get so far and really there's a physical response to that too, because when you get to a point where you have to get it done October 14th
Mm-hmm.
or October 15th, then your dopamine sets in and it releases from your brain and you get a charge and you get her done. That's why a lot of people with ADD um, don't get things done on time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, we better close. Thank you, Ness. Thank you so much for being here, Ness. You are so kind. Ness is such a big help, and all of you here. Lisa says, I spend way too much time alone. My childhood friends are not in my life anymore. So, um, Teri, this Teri, not intuitive Teri, is telling you, you have so many friends here, Lisa. You
Mm-hmm.
seriously do. And I know other groups that you're in and, on Debbie's channel and whatnot. And you are so connected with love here. Wow. Are you ready?
Yeah, I just have to cut it and lay them out.
Okay. I can go ahead if you
Go.
want. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these are my favorite cards, these Doreen Virtue, and they're ancient, but I just
Mm-hmm.
love them. So surrender it, let it go. She's carrying that urn around. I always talk about carrying your bucket. And you might put other people's things in your bucket. You might put your stuff in the bucket. And you really have to empty it out because we certainly can't carry other people's problems, which we have a tendency to do. But just if you can release that, because that's not your story. Um, Self acceptance, realizing who you are, um, and look at yourself as a child, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, picture yourself as a child because um, would you talk that way to a child? And would you talk to that way to a child that you love? Would you talk that way to one of your cats? I know you wouldn't. I know you're such a big animal lover. And children.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can treat ourselves like the little children that we are, um, with joy and wonder, it'll make a huge difference. And then you have harmony coming in. Um, and it feels like you might have something around your heart, Lisa, that you're not letting go of. So sometimes you can go in when we're clearing energy, go into your chakras and see things. So if you can grow your heart chakra every day with green and pink light, it makes a huge difference for me.
Okay. What I read is it's a traditional tarot deck, but it
Mhm.
doesn't look like it. It's called the Mystic Monday deck. And I'm going to read it backwards. Usually I read from the left to the right, but
Yeah.
this I'm going to read the other way because you need to quit self isolating. That's the hermit. And when it's reversed like that, you can see they're walking into a door with light, since it's reversed, they're not really doing that. And you need to quit having to defend everything you do. You need to let that go and not get tied into it because you were born to do justice, to be balanced, to be fair. And the two other cards you have that are at the base of you are the High Priestess and the Empress.
Wow.
And you are not giving yourself credit for that. You need to focus on the things you do right. And I noticed in the High Priestess, you see the tablet beside her, the piece of paper that's floating above her hand.
Mhm.
What you need to do is to awaken that back in yourself. For some reason, when those images, I think you get to the point, well, that's just not me. That's what everybody else can do. And you get way too defensive.
Yeah. She says, I'm trying. I just don't have anyone to go anywhere with. So I just stay home.
In a year like this, in an election cycle like this, I don't know where you live, but I can guarantee you there's one political party that would soup you up and put you in a room full of people that could become friends because you're united around. Now, if you're not political, then that's kind of a tough system. But there's a lot of things that happen where you don't have to argue with any. If you think political things mean you have to argue with everybody, they don't. We used to just have people wander in almost literally during Obama and say, I'm not sure why I'm here. There's always stuff to do. Oh,
Yeah.
but Kentucky's got some interesting races. And Kentucky is really a blue state. Look at your governor. You just got to go find the little groups of blue people.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of times, like I know the yoga studio that I go to, um, like I teach meditation there on Saturday mornings, and we have different events through the weekend that might be like a little sound bath thing that you can go to. And I always meet people at those. Oh, you're a member of a liberal group, but you only meet about once a month. Yeah.
Then reach out to people in that group and say, I need to bolster this more often. And
Oh,
and you need to go write a gratitude thing in your little gratitude book that says, I have a group I can meet with at least once a month. Be grateful for that. But the other thing I'm going to tell you is when things get down and you really feel like it's crappy. I had a friend who had to take care of her father when he was going away into dementia. And she said, I'm sure everybody just got sick of hearing my stories about what I was watching go on. So what she did is she had her gratitude book where she'd write the things she was grateful for. And sometimes she said it was just that I found a really good watermelon at the grocery store and brought it home and ate it. But then she also had a book that no one saw but her. It was called her bitch book. And she could take all those things that were dark and put them on a piece of paper and then say, okay, now it's outside of me. And she said she learned more from reading in her bitch book. And she said it was really gratifying is when the bitch book started to turn into the gratitude book because of what she'd learned about herself.
that's beautiful. I know when my husband was sick, they one of my girlfriends gave me a bitch doll that you were supposed to hit and put pins in and stuff, which I always thought that was a little weird, but I like the bitch. I like the bitch book idea. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it's hard, Lisa, because it's. I put my ringer on because I was
Ooh.
waiting for Terry to call me and explain to me why I didn't have a show. Um, but when my husband was dying, I remember one time I went into this store that was in our neighborhood, beautiful grocery store. It was just, my parents lived in Las Vegas. And when my parents came to visit, my dad walked through the store with me to pick some stuff up because we got nice stores in Vegas. We ain't got nothing like this. And I can remember standing in this beautiful store that's full of everything you could ever taste. And it had a huge floral section and all this stuff. And I'm watching all these people go about their business, doing what they needed to do and being happy. And I knew that my husband was going to be dead within a week. And, I knew that. Now they didn't, some guy came up to me and said, Hey, you're looking good today, because it was a kind of a neighborhood store. And I was like, I can't believe I look like anything,
Yeah.
because other people don't know what's going on inside of us. And I'm not saying smile and get along and all that stuff. I'm saying find a place to put the stuff you don't want to carry so you can move beyond and get past.
Yeah. And that gratitude journal is huge because gratitude does change your vibration. It raises
Mm-hmm.
your vibration. Just saying, thank you for that glass of water
Mm-hmm.
raises your vibration. Um, but Yeah, keep checking in, Lisa. We all want to know about this because you're not the only one here that feels that way. And I get that way sometimes too, because I find that, I mean, particularly after the pandemic, that, um, I don't go out that often. And I'm going out with a group of girls this Friday, and I haven't gone out with the whole group for a long time, for like a year. And I'm a
Hmm.
little nervous about it, but I'm excited.
You still remember how to put a spoon in your mouth correctly, right? You'll be fine.
Almost. Almost. A big one, usually. Oh, you're welcome, honey. You're so welcome, Lisa. Um, okay. Lyra, this full moon, I want to release my fear and hopelessness. Can you have a ritual that will help me do this? I'm always calmer after watching you. Thank you. Oh, that's so sweet, Lyra.
Um, the one I've used in the past is you write out on a paper all the things you want to let go, and the things that you really feel like my life would be a whole lot better if this, and they can be people. I mean, the fact you're telling someone to go away and that you don't choose to have that vibration in your life just means you're protecting yourself. And I mean, I wouldn't put their name on the piece of paper, but because I'm never sure about that part. But situations and things, and the things that you fear, the things that when you think, I'd like to go out, but this might happen, write all those buts down and then roll the paper up and take it to a place where you're not going to burn your house down, or then you'll have another thing to worry about. And I always burned it over toilet and and then flush the ashes away. And just, I know people who do that annually. They do it during the holiday season. Everybody writes on a piece of paper the things that they really don't want in their life in the coming year, roll it up, and they throw it if they have a family fire, or they throw it in their fireplace.
I love that. Yeah. Ness says something beautiful. With hopelessness, what cures me is small moments where I can control and impact the outcome. One friend made me a list of all my accomplishments, so I remember I am powerful. That's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, Ness. Yeah, I I do a burn about once or twice a year. I've got a old bucket,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 100 years old. It's got a hole in it, so it can't be used for water. But
Mm-hmm.
it's made out of brass, and I take it in the backyard and burn things. And a lot of times, also, if I'm crying or something, I'll put the used Kleenex in there
Mm-hmm.
from my tears, and I'll burn little things, and I'll save it up, and I'll let it go. Um, Another really good way to do this that I learned from um, a grief and trauma coach that I
Mm-hmm.
was working with is to write down what happened, that or what you feel about yourself that makes you so fearful or anguished,
Mm-hmm.
and then change the outcome. Like, right now I feel so alone, but I know that there are beautiful people, that care about me in this world, and or this person did something to me, and I know that I didn't deserve that, and I am strong, and I'm loving, and I'm a beautiful inside and out person.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you change the outcome, so that always helps. All right. Candy Mullen. Okay. And this is the candy with the C, not the candy with the K.
Right.
Yeah. Um, my best friend was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. Doctors recommend double mastectomy. Can you tell me anything?
Well, I can tell you, I had a friend go through that in the last 2 years, and that is the best way to. If they're telling her that's the best way to treat it, and she's gone to a couple of doctors, as long as she's somewhat confident what they're telling her, that is the best way to treat it. But I can, did you want to, I'm hesitant to look at your friend because your friend, if your friend wants to know, we can answer her question, but I'd be okay to lay 5 cards about how this is going to affect you.
Yeah, let's do that. How
Okay.
it'll affect you, Candy, because I feel the same. Medical questions are hard, especially for other people. But I can read on the energy around it and how it affects you.
hmm And it was hard. Talked to a friend every day. I'd call her and say, "How's it going? And what's happening?" And all the treatments she went through. And I was the one person she could just say, "This is really BS." That may be making me better. And my mom went through it, but my mom got the kind of cancer you get from smoking. We don't have the cancer gene in our family, per se.
Debbie says, my cousin just went through this and now is going through thyroid cancer. We just found each other again.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, Candy, I think as concerned as you should be about your friend, you should also be concerned about yourself because the one card that comes out in this reading is you're in the Eight of Swords. You're feeling very trapped by the fears this is bringing up in you. And while she's with swords, right? This lady's going to have surgery and stuff. But what it's done to you is normally you feel like you can be a pretty straight shooter and talk to someone pretty well, but you don't feel like you can do that. You're trying to not make judgments, but there's a part of you that just wants to pull away because you're not sure you're strong enough to be able to be there to help this person. And it's not that you don't love them, it's just you don't feel you have that space in your heart. But your out card is the Three of Wands, which means you can reach out and do better for yourself and for your friend once you get past your own judgment, your fears.
Yeah. Um, I'm pulling dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you're thinking about with this, it feels like, and this is real easy right now, you guys, to attach fear to something. And especially with everything going on the planet and then politics on top of it. But, and I've got something going on in my family right now too with a couple of people. And it's really easy to go into that space where they're in fear and you'll be in fear. And then you can't be a good person to bounce things off of
Mm-hmm.
if you're going through that as well. So being able to guide them, sign,
Mm-hmm.
um, and doing some meditation if you can, um, because I get that you've got an abundance inside of you of harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can pull into that, it's going to be a miracle for her. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be like just a beautiful thing. And sometimes when we're working with people that are going through tragedies or transitions,
Mm-hmm.
um, or transformations, all of the
Mm-hmm.
above, it's having a good friend that you can be there and just be strong and listen, not
Mm-hmm.
always try to help and give ideas to unless they're asked for.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not taught how to listen. And listening is sometimes the best
That's
gift
the
we can
hardest
give them.
job.
It is to listen and not give advice. Yeah.
But if you can stand by your friend, at the end now my friend's out, she's healed and she's 100%, and they're still doing the regular checkups, but um, you know, she said it just helped to have somebody to call and crab about when she had to go get a wig and do
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah. And you can say, I'm sorry that you feel that way. You know, one thing that, as a thing that I took a class that I took on healing trauma, and finding somebody and listening to somebody and helping them with it is that you ask up front, I want to be here and listen to you. If you want me to respond, let me know. But right now, I'm just gonna be here for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then ask, would you like me to respond? And sometimes they figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Listening and not fixing your kids' problems, right, Water Lily? That's a hard one. May I get a reading? Struggling with finances and finding a place.
Have you ever seen this deck, Teri?
No, it's really cool. What is
It's
that?
it's all art, all the illustrations and all the work are archetypes of the 1950s housewife.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the Ten of Cups. It's 10 full cocktail glasses. So I'm going to pull these out because we're getting all kinds of fun lady questions. So I bought this deck when I saw it because, and it comes in a recipe box with little labels, like those sorts of things.
Oh my gosh, I love those.
Mm-hmm. They're like the divination room and the box for the fortune cake. And anyway, um, death in this, it's a it's a jar of mayonnaise with botulism in it.
God.
But I'm going to use this one because it does a couple things. It's really a good deck. When I used to read with it in the vintage store, people loved it because they could relate to the images on it. Sometimes those old medieval images that are on the Rider Waite don't relate as well.
They don't, do they?
Well, that's why I didn't read. I could read cards, but I never really. I mean, the images to me were oogie until a friend of mine gave me a deck. It was a friend of mine. It was my husband. He gave me a deck that was what I call progressed. Like coins were stones and cups were pears, and so like all the real oogie images were turned into these lovely softer images. And then I just found out whatever the image is that's on the card, it's going to feed through to the reading. And I learned to read a lot better. But when I started out, Rider Waite was pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still not, I mean, I've got a few tarot decks, but um, mostly just oracles and writing that I use.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do finances first and then finding a place. And I'm taking that as a place to live. If that's wrong, let me know.
Hi, Celtic Seer.
Okay. For your first question, which is finances. Oh, these are cute. Um, you've got some really good skills. You just haven't found the right people to blend them with. This is Three of Pentacles. And what worries you is you keep getting messages of you need to go back and study more. You need to go back and work harder. And you're like, but I have these really good skills. And what I'm thinking you're doing is you got the Chariot in reverse. You're not um, expressing all of your skills. You need to relook at your resume. And that's the next part I get is you're holding too much in. You're not letting people see who you really are so they can give you the kind of job you really like to have. You're holding too much in. And this is one of my favorite cards in this deck. This is Temperance. And it's a cake mix. And if you don't put everything in that cake mix in the right way, if you don't think about the balance you need, then you're never going to get a cake that's going to work. So what the cards are telling you is you're in charge and you need to let people see who you are.
Yeah.
and have more confidence in yourself. That seems to be our message for the day, isn't it? And you'll have the way to get all, and the boxes around the mixer are joy, justice, anger, and sorrow. All those different parts of are parts of what we live with, but we need all of those to be able to make the cake. You just can't have a joyful stuff every day. So you need to look at the things that you've pulled into your life that have balanced it. That's your first question about how to get ahead in your finances. Now, finding a place is you really want to get out of where you're living. You've had it. I mean, that's a 10 of wands. You're done, done, done. But and you're looking to set it up with justice. This is hardcore 1950s mom justice spanking a kid. But um, and you need to be a little more playful with yourself and open your mind up and realize you can have better things and more things. The biggest problem for you has been the money, the Ace of Pentacles, and that's true for the whole damn market as far as I understand it. But and there's a part of you that just wants to do the hermit thing. This is a woman in a spa. Isn't that hysterical?
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And Calgon, take me away. Um, you need to kind of release some of those feelings. So what's blocking you about finding housing is you're done with what you've got, but you're just not sure of how to get to the next thing. I think if you can solve that job problem you've got of undervaluing yourself, you'll solve the other problem of having the money you need.
Yeah. Um, Water lily, that's what they showed me too. Like you've kind of been going around in circles. They've
Mm-hmm.
got that big circle and it's going round and round and round, kind of like a wagon wheel. It keeps spinning. So, and then they showed me the dollars, like you've got all sorts of money in your hand, but you might have been holding on really tight. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like scarcity in your
Mm-hmm.
in your auric field or in your energy, and scarcity. I mean, that's so easy to feel right now because everything is kind of in flux. The stock
Mm-hmm.
market's been kind of crazy. The Fed has been crazy. So you might be holding on real tight and looking at things in a way that they aren't. Like
Mm-hmm.
perhaps looking at things like, oh no, I'm not going to make any money on this. I'm not going to make any money on that. Water lily, if you have somebody in your life, an ancestor, like my dad was good at money. Not when we were little, but after
Mm-hmm.
we left, he did okay. So it was like I always ask him. I'm always like, Dad, I want this or I want that. And so ask your ancestors to help you. With housing, it looks like maybe the house that you have or the houses that you've been looking at, um, are kind of too open for you. It's weird. They show me a house with a lot of windows. So maybe you're not looking at those houses clearly, or maybe you're looking at houses that um, would not be in your best interest. So, but the housing, they do show me this coming around for you. That
Mm-hmm.
circle is going to come around full circle. Um, I don't know why, if that makes any sense to you, Water Lily, why they're sending a house, showing me a house with too many windows. If there's somebody around and you feel uncomfortable or what. So listen to your inner voice. I connect with my inner self and stay true to myself. Um, Give yourself a lot of unconditional love. That's for all of us right now. I love to
Mm-hmm.
love and be loved, and create what you want because you've got it inside you. My creativity flows freely. You've got it inside you, dear. So good luck. You get disability and you're limited. Okay. Yeah. It does feel like something's coming around.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Yeah. Um, is there somebody there that's helpful, water lily, around you, like a social service that can help with that? Because it just they're showing me like Catholic charities or somebody in a neighborhood.
How old is Water Lily?
I don't think she's very old. I mean, she looks like she's 12 in that picture,
Yeah,
but
well, I could put up a picture that shows I'm 12, but it's,
yeah, I'm not sure. But
I know in Dallas we have incredible senior services, and they really will come out and help you get your act together.
yeah, yeah. And we've got that too. We've got different areas that are picture is 3 years old, so you still look yeah. So I feel like there are places that are going to be really helpful. Water lily.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Start looking for them and let us know. Let us know how it goes. Okay.
I have a feeling we better answer Nessa's thing though.
Where's Ness at? Okay.
Well, we can do Michelle and then
No,
Nessa's at
Michelle.
1:45.
I see you, Ness. Ness, you're actually the next one after Michelle. So, um, what do I need to release? The full moon for my, oh, and this full moon for my highest good.
You know, you have 48 hours on either side of the full moon, so you have time to give this due consideration. Because I've had full moon sneak up on me, and I have a watch that has the phases of the moon on it. I mean, I can look and see exactly where the moon is, and I still miss them. Look at her first card, the devil. It's a devil suitcase, but it's the devil.
Devil cake.
Hmm.
Michelle, are you here, dear? We'll go ahead and do it, but so I'm pulling some cards for you, and this is like my favorite card in this deck. It's Sekhmet. So she's pure strength. I honor my anger by giving voice to it. The Red Lady.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes when we're angry about something, especially if we're in the spiritual world and studying, um, we don't give voice to our anger. But um, you know, Michelle, you might be trying to be very nice about something and not using your voice. So, so that might be something to release. It feels like there's something sacred about rage. We don't have to scream at people, um, but to let go of um, holding things in. And do it with awareness and empathy, of course. So there's an enchantment of maybe thinking that um, you're being high vibrational if you don't give somebody what you really think about it. But in spiritual growth, we do often do that. And but somebody you might be their answered prayer when you come up and you're honest about something and your feelings about something. So they may not want to listen, and that's okay. That's their choice. It's free will planet.
But they'll never have a chance to change if you don't express what you need to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I got, are you done?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, the problem is that you kind of blame yourself because you try to find the easiest way to get things done, and that there's been something. What you need to release is this idea of perfection, or that you have to master everything you touch. You need to learn more about how life's just a journey, and we just need to get in the car and ride. But your other, the biggest thing for you, and what's led to all those things, is you stack up too many, try to do too many things at once instead of focusing. Because what you need to do is become the Knight of Wands, cute little kid on a bicycle, challenging the world with a plunger. But you need to go out and ride around and pick your goals. Too often, what you need to release is having to try to do everything really well all at once. You need to release that I have to do everything all by myself here. You need to hold on to, fo- ask the moon for focus and tell it to take all those extraneous temptations away from you, because it sometimes the things that seem to make it easier for us to do things, like in the devil's food cake thing, in the description of it, talks about how it's so easy to just grab a box of batter and make the egg and make the cake, but it's not as good a cake as if we really applied concentration to it. But we'll do that cake, so we can hop over and do something else. So we're ending up juggling too many things at once. You need to ask the moon to release you so you can focus on what you really need to focus on. And trust me, I am an ace at doing what you do, Michelle.
I am too. Yeah. Trust in yourself, Michelle. That's the first thing they showed me was the dollar bill with your picture on it
Mhm.
right here. And it's like, trust in yourself. You've got this. We really make ourselves do a lot and hold ourselves up sometimes to a spot where it's not easy to be us. Like, if something messes up, like the show today, we had two shows going instead of one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Then we can.
And that's when we try to get ahead of things, because I thought, oh, I'll set this all up and then Terry and I will be ready to go. And I set it up, and then Terry said, oh no, I thought you were sending the show. So she killed that show, but it's still there. I still got to go figure out how to kill it. I may have to have another show on Thursday just because of
Well, we can do that. I've got time on Thursday. So, all right. And next is Ness.
that. Mm-hmm.
Ness next.
That's his question.
Yeah. What is your read on the upcoming energy shifts? I see 1 to 2 timeline shifts before the end of the year, and I don't want to miss them. I love that.
Okay, Nessa, now I'm trying to figure out how the hell you're going to get out of this. You know, can you tell us what little side room you have that you don't have to go through this? You're not going to, I don't think there's any way we can miss them. We can be denser and just not pay much attention. But
A bonus show, she says. Yeah. Um, so we can keep going through different timeline shifts, and I feel like we're kind of bouncing on and off them. Yeah, it feels like
Mhm.
soda, right? That we're just kind of and one time, like you'll look and you'll see, you might watch the news and you see all the horrible things going on, and that's a lower timeline shift because there's a lot of fear there, and we're very empathetic as empaths, and we like, yeah, Wonder Woman complex. Thank you, Candy. And we want to make sure that everybody's okay. But if you're watching things with compassion instead of that caring part that we have a tendency to attach to, and we watch them with compassion, you'll be able to jump into all of them, no problem. That witnessing awareness, that we see what's happening. Yeah, the timeline shuffle. Everyone dance, Judy.
Hmm.
It totally is the timeline shuffle right now coming up. Any guidance for me in particular on those timeline shifts? I feel big DNA channel changes for me, but I don't know.
The card I got that's most important to me, just go along for the ride. It's going to come in a lot of different ways,
Yeah.
and it's going to come down on you suddenly, but just go along for the ride and don't worry about it. Because unless you figured out a hiding hole closet to avoid it, I don't know what you can do.
Yeah. Like it was really easy to get mad at everybody when Joe wasn't feeling well and everybody was saying he ought to drop out, but it was really a timeline that was already set up. And
Hmm.
we all saw that he was going to be leaving, but it's faster now. We're on that new timeline. And who knows that he didn't have that all planned in some respect, or definitely was planned somewhere. Um, so I don't know if you've got some new friends coming in, but I'm getting some romance, Ness. So maybe that's falling. Sometimes that's falling in love with ourselves. Um, so Candy, that's interesting. How do we look at things with compassion versus empathy? It's the empathy part, that not so much being empathetic, but caring too much, caring enough that you're attached to the outcome. If we care so much that we're attached to the outcome, then we can't witness it. But if we have compassion for the outcome, and that's a weird thing to say, I know, but it's like a little balance thing where you kind of have to be right in the center. What is that called? I forget that what that's called, but anyway, that balance there. Yeah, yeah. Less attachment to the outcome, but care. Having empathy with what's going to happen, being compassionate about it. We do care about it, but we don't care that we've attached our energy to it
Hmm.
or witnessing it. Yeah, there's a word for that. Anyway, and you're going to get that through meditation. And you can come to my channel and meditate. We do guided meditations. You can go for walks. That's a great meditation. You can dance. I mean, there's a million ways to do meditation for different people. Yeah.
Thing is, it's just my problem with some empaths. When people find out they're empaths and they just claim they have to feel everything that's happening around them. No, you don't. I mean, you have free will. You can close it down. I mean, and I've had people say, "Oh, I just can't. I just can't." Well, then be a martyr to the world, because if you can't control how slings and arrows come, then when you feel that around people, if that becomes your reality, then unless you're opening up to try and see what it is, something really wrong. I mean, from what you're never going to get the right answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You do not need to feel everything. Yeah.
No.
There's too much going on the planet, and if you make that, like, we're all creating our own energy, we're all creating the world, our own
Hmm.
world that we see and we live in. And if we create a world where you're attached to everything and every person, that's a lot. That's a lot to carry in your bucket. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You're doing great, Ness. But that romance card, I think that romance card came up for you, and I want to say that was 2 years ago or a year ago, too. That's funny. I might be falling in love with yourself again, but could be something interesting. Okay, do you have time for one more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Sherry, Would love to clear any blocks to my increasing and trusting my intuition. Thank you.
I have those days. Um,
Yeah.
you, Sherry, do you do any automatic writing? I don't know if you know Sherry. I don't.
I'm not sure which Sherry it is. Um,
But I'd say automatic writing is a great way to block things out and just let it flow through you. The thing is, we when we need trusting our intuition comes into um, what is it? Dispenza says, just because you think it doesn't make it happen. Just because you think it's there doesn't make it happen. And there is a very different sense of when you're opening up to your intuition. And sometimes you can just close it down because you don't want to feel things or you don't want to know. I,
uh,
I
that- yeah. She's
when I
learning.
mhm.
There we go. She's learning to access the Akashic records.
Okay. Well, now we're in a whole world I know very little about, except when I had my Akashic records read, the guy said, "Bring a few questions with you when you come in. It makes it easier." So I asked him. I said, "Is it possible I could be backdooring into the Akashic records? Because I see things about people all the time, and it's the sort of stuff out." And you'd have thought I'd have taken a bucket of ice cold water and thrown it on him. The look of shock and dismay, and no, you have to do these things, and I'm fine. I mean, if that's how the discipline works, it's how it works. We got to the end of the reading. He started laughing, and I said, "What's funny?" And he said, "Your guides just told me that you have been backdooring it into the Akashic records. You just don't care for all that do it up front stuff." Like, well, that's true.
I
So,
love it.
but I didn't know I was breaking and entering in there until he explained to me the kind of things you see. But Sherry, I think you need to be able to turn it on and turn it off. You need to be able to build the shell around yourself so that you can live in a space that energy can't penetrate.
Yeah. That's where I get messages for. That's where she gets messages for herself now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's great.
if you're gonna get messages and see what works and what doesn't, it's better if you're doing it for yourself than if you're trying to do it for somebody else.
Yeah. So, Sherry, a good way for me to tell people to look at it is how do you learn?
Mhm.
Do you learn visual? Are you a visual learner? Are you a tactile learner? Are you know? Do you learn from hearing things? Like sometimes I get in songs a lot of times. Um, my guides will send me songs like "Ain't Misbehavin',"
Oh,
something
songs.
like
I
that.
thought you said phones. You get
Oh no,
inside phones? That's a trick.
songs. Yeah. So I kind of feel like that's always a great clue. And
Mhm.
also, if you find a modality of healing or a modality of intuitive learning or something that sets your heart afire, then that's it. Yeah, and mostly visual clairvoyant. So I would suggest starting to talk to your guides. I mean,
Mhm.
calling in all your angels and your guides, talk to them and look for them and start writing down. I like what you said too about writing everything down,
Mhm.
Nancy Jean. Um, and or you could record yourself on your phone and just say, this is such and such date, and this is what I'm seeing right now. And you can do it with your eyes closed, or you can do it with your eyes open, whatever's better for you. And some knowing, yeah, that's kind of how I started out too, clairvoyant and claircognizant. So, and then pretty soon, all your senses are going to come into play. one might be more particularly good, but gosh, how many modalities do you use to do readings, Nancy Jean?
Um, I don't think I've ever counted.
Yeah,
I did a show on uh, what kind of what kind of clairvoyance or what sense are you using, and there's taste, there's smell, there's everything under the sun. Then there's claircognizance, and I which oh that was what the name of the show is which Claire are you? And I'm just claircognizant. I just know stuff, and I mean, trust me, it makes all, when I was doing politics, it made all of my lawyer friends crazy because they want to know what page in the law books it's on. And I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I haven't read them, but
yeah,
you just know. And
yeah. It used to drive my husband crazy too. I would just know stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, that clear cognizant comes in. But start playing with that. So it does feel like you're very visual. So that
Hmm.
would be a really easy way to do it. And you might start drawing too. Like they show me little pictures all the time. Like my things are just filled with pictures of things, necklaces, all sorts of things. When I'm reading on people, they'll send me a couple of pictures and I'll pull a couple of cards or not.
Hmm.
But um, Ness says I can feel music around me, not all music, but certain types. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Sally has a ocular migraine. I'm so sorry, Sal. I hope you feel better. Yeah, spatial. Yeah, there's a lot of touch that comes in too. And also working with your senses every day,
Hmm.
that's huge too. I mean, we do it anyway, but really going into them and feeling your senses. She says, "Funny you say that. I've been thinking that even if just doodling, to take my thinking mind out of it and let it flow, that's how I get mine. A lot of
Hmm.
it. They send me more messages in my doodling and my songs that they send in. So, yeah, yeah, it does help a lot. Well, thank you so much, Nancy Jean. What do you have coming up next?
My show tomorrow with Dorothy Morgan, and we're going to discuss just sort of what that wheel is that Dorothy keeps putting up on the screen. She's supposed to be getting a very simple and sort of map out kind of what, when we start talking about this stuff, what are we saying? And because I got 3 or 4 questions about that pretty pointedly after the thing I did with Linda. And then, and Linda Fraser brings up an important point. If you listen to the answers and don't get so obsessed with, they're not going to answer my question. Your question or what you really need to know will come out in the thing. I've When I used to do table readings, um, at the wine bar, somebody be sitting next to their friend, and we're also going to talk about how to use the full moon. So you folks have full moon questions. Dorothy's in the house, um, but if you if you listen to the answers, you'll get the answers to your own questions. That's why I was telling you about the guy. I was telling Terry how I'd lost this guy's email and he wanted a birthday reading, and then he finally texted me. And my daughter and I both looked in my emails. We couldn't find it. So we arranged it. I did his reading for him, and it was a really great reading. Lots of good stuff coming in for him. Whole sort of fresh start kind of point. And then after I'd finished his reading, I opened up the mail and I showed my daughter. I'd started and it was there, but neither she nor I could see it. So I don't know what games the universe is playing.
Yeah,
Mercury is definitely Gatorade, let me tell you. Um, so, uh, but if you will listen, you'll hear. And the reason I was so happy to read him and see all those sort of great outcomes is because when you're a reader, you'll get the questions you need answered for yourself. People come ask you. and you'll see those things come through for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. They really do come through. Um, and it's interesting. It's all the synchronicities
Hmm.
that start happening when you start going into your power and witness, we start witnessing instead
Right.
of being attached to outcomes.
And
Makes a huge difference.
if you're into my channel, you'll see the thing go up for Dorothy tomorrow, right after we finish this today. I'm trying to really not cross things too much. But in the comments, if you open it up, you can put a comment. You can write a question, and that's the best way to get your question answered. Is because I'll pull out as many as I know I can answer. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
much more certain than being part of the chat. Although we love our chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Sharon Snipe. And thank you so much, Ness, and everybody. Um, it was a real joy today. So we really appreciate it. And thanks so much for being patient with us. So,
Yeah, we're doing the best we can, guys, until the end of this month. Every time I turn my computer on, it's like with a stick.
yeah, right? It's cray cray. All right, everybody. Have a great day.